All right, welcome. Today we're diving into an idea that is, and I'm not exaggerating here, a total game changer for how you can solve problems. We're going to go beyond just the definition of systems thinking and really explore how this powerful idea can expand not just in your own head, but across whole companies and even all of society.
But first, let's start with something I bet we've all felt. You know that feeling? You put out a fire at work, you solve a problem, and you feel great. Until a few weeks later when, poof, it's back. Or maybe it's a slightly different version of the same old problem. It's like you're playing a frustrating game of whack-a-mole. So why does that happen? Well, it's because we're usually just patching up the symptoms, not getting to the real root of it all. And that, right there, is where systems thinking comes in. Think of it as the art of seeing the whole story. It's about recognizing that, hey, that one thing that just happened, it's probably not an isolated event. It's part of a bigger, hidden web of connections. It's not just about seeing the forest or the trees. It's about understanding how the forest and the trees create each other.
So to really get a handle on this, we're going to break it down into 3 key places or arenas where this way of thinking can grow. And it's a journey. One that starts small with you, but it definitely doesn't end there.
So we're going to look at how this all begins with the individual, with you and me. Then we'll see how it can spread to become part of the very culture of an organization. And finally, how it can scale up to help us tackle the really big, messy challenges that we all face as a society. It's this incredible shift from just me to we to all of us.
So how does it all start? It starts with us. It's about building a brand new toolkit for our brains. Instead of just reacting to a problem, let's say a project misses a deadline, we learn to ask, why? Okay, the deadline was missed. Why? Because we got a key piece of info late. Why was it late? Well, the person who had it was totally swamped. Why were they swamped? And you keep going. All of a sudden, you're not just talking about one missed deadline anymore. You're actually uncovering a deep issue with workload or resources. That's the magic trick, shifting from just reacting to truly seeing the system. Now, once individuals start thinking this way, it can totally transform a company. It's about creating a common language. So instead of the marketing department blaming the sales department, they're all in a room together, literally mapping out how their actions ripple across the whole organization. And get this. You can run simulations. You can test a big decision in a safe digital space to see the crazy unintended consequences a year from now before you actually do it. Suddenly making a choice isn't a shot in the dark. It's a real strategy.
And this thinking scales all the way up to the societal level. I mean, think about our biggest, hairiest challenges, right? Climate change, public health crises, the economy. These are not simple problems. They are massive, interconnected systems. An economist sees one piece of the puzzle. A climate scientist sees another. A social worker sees yet another. A systems approach is the framework that lets us bring all those brilliant people together to see the whole chessboard and to create solutions that don't just kick the can down the road or create a new problem somewhere else.
Okay, so we've got the 3 arenas, the where this thinking can grow. But this is where the idea gets really interesting. Because expanding this mindset isn't just about reaching more people. It's about changing the quality and the nature of the thinking itself.
See, the real growth, the real expansion happens when our thinking gets deeper and broader and just becomes a natural part of how we operate. This is where we go from just, knowing the definition of systems thinking to actually living and breathing it.
The first dimension of this is deepening. This is all about getting past simple cause and effect. For instance, a company cuts its research budget to make this quarter's profits look amazing. Simple, right? A causes B. But deepening our thinking means seeing the time delay. It's seeing that 3 years from now, that same decision will crush innovation and sink profits. That's the hidden feedback loop that most people just don't see.
From there, we broadened its use. This way of thinking isn't just for, fixing a machine on an assembly line. Imagine using it to design a whole public transportation system for a city. You're not just thinking about efficiency. You're thinking about how it impacts public health, how it gives people access to better jobs, how it shapes the culture of the city. You're moving from just fixing problems to literally designing the future.
Then we have internalization. This is that beautiful aha moment, when it all just clicks. It's not a technique you have to consciously pull out of your mental toolbox anymore. It becomes your default setting. It's a reflex.
You just automatically start to see the connections and the feedback loops in everything, from a team meeting to a family dinner. But, and this is so important, a systems approach is not some rigid, one-size-fits-all formula. And that brings us to contextual expansion. The way you'd map out a problem in a hyper-fast tech startup in California is going to be completely different from how you'd approach a community health issue in a village in Kenya. The thinking has to breathe. It has to adapt to the local culture, the urgency of the moment, and the tools you actually have.
And the fifth and final dimension is networking. This one recognizes a simple truth. You can't do this alone. No single person, no single company has all the answers. It's all about building communities, these networks of people who can share their wins, their failures, and team up to tackle problems that are just way too big for any one of us to solve solo.
So we've got these two really powerful models, right? The 3 arenas and the 5 dimensions. The question is, how do they actually fit together to create a living, breathing way of seeing the world?
Well, this table just lays it out perfectly. The 3 arenas, individual, organization, and society, they tell us where this thinking grows. The 5 dimensions, deepening, broadening, internalizing, context, and networking, they tell us how that growth actually happens and becomes something real and lasting. They work together. You can deepen your own individual skills while your whole society is broadening its application of the ideas.
And I just love this quote from our source material because it captures the spirit of this so well. It says, to think of this whole thing not as a machine, but as a living being. Its heart is continuous learning. Its blood, the thing that carries life, is dialogue. And its nervous system is feedback. Isn't that a beautiful way to see it? It's not a static tool, it's something that's constantly sensing, adapting, and growing.
So you see, expanding how we think is a journey that moves both outward into the world and inward into how we ourselves see things. So as we wrap up, I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. What's one system in your world, could be at your job, in your neighborhood, maybe even in your own family, that you'll try to see a little more completely after today? Thanks for joining this explanator.